The forest was quiet, its dense canopy allowing only slivers of moonlight to touch the earth below. I sat beneath a towering banyan tree, staring into the shadows that danced with the night's whispers. My heart was heavy with doubt, seeking clarity amidst the cacophony of my own thoughts. Buddha sat nearby, his form serene and still, radiating a calm I yearned to understand. He seemed untouched by the cold or the solitude, a presence so steady it anchored the world around him. I dared to speak, my voice hesitant but tinged with desperation. "Master," I began, "why does loneliness haunt us even when surrounded by others? What creates this endless void within?" He opened his eyes, gaze warm and penetrating, as if seeing the tangled web of my thoughts and fears. "Loneliness arises from our clinging," he said, his voice soft yet resonant, carrying the weight of truths eternal. "We grasp at fleeting moments, seeking permanence in that which is bound to change. In doing so, we distance ourselves from reality." I struggled with his words, their simplicity masking a complexity I could not immediately grasp. "But Master," I continued, "how can we not cling to the people we love? The joys we experience? Are these not natural? To love without clinging is the highest form of compassion," Buddha replied, his hands resting lightly on his knees. "It is the recognition that love is not possession but liberation. Not a chain but an open door." I frowned, the idea both beautiful and daunting. "How do we achieve this, Master? How do we love without the fear of losing what we hold dear?" Buddha looked toward the forest, his gaze lingering on the interplay of light and shadow among the trees. "Begin by understanding the nature of all things," he said. "Like the leaves of the forest, they grow, they fall, they return to the earth. Clinging to their permanence blinds us to their beauty in the moment." His words struck a chord, their truth undeniable, yet their application felt insurmountable. "So we are to simply accept loss, Master? To let go of all attachments without question? Acceptance is not passivity," he explained, turning his gaze back to me. "It is the wisdom of seeing things as they are, not as we wish them to be. To let go is not to abandon but to trust in the flow of life." The rustling leaves seemed to echo his sentiment, a natural harmony playing out before my eyes. "But Master," another disciple interjected, stepping forward with a furrowed brow, "does this mean we should not strive, not seek to change the world around us?" Buddha smiled gently, the corners of his mouth barely lifting but enough to convey his understanding. "Striving without clinging is the path of the awakened," he said. "Act with purpose, but free yourself from the attachment to results. In doing so, you align with the flow of the universe." The disciple nodded, though his expression still bore the weight of contemplation. I too felt the burden of understanding, the teachings challenging the core of my desires and fears. The silence that followed was filled with the sounds of the forest, a symphony of nature undisturbed by our human struggles. "Master," I said again, unable to quell the restlessness within me, "if all is impermanent, what is the purpose of our existence? What anchors us amidst this endless change?" Buddha's eyes softened, his presence drawing the group closer as if his words were meant to embrace us all. "The purpose is not in permanence but in presence," he said. "To be here, now, fully, without resistance or grasping, is to touch the eternal." His words hung in the air, resonating with a truth that felt both foreign and familiar. The other disciples murmured among themselves, their voices tinged with the same awe and uncertainty that filled me. I looked up at the canopy above, the moonlight filtering through like droplets of wisdom descending from the heavens. "Master," a disciple to my left spoke, her voice trembling with both fear and hope. "How do we begin this journey? Where do we start?" "Begin with awareness," Buddha answered, his tone steady and unwavering. "Observe your thoughts, your actions, and your attachments without judgment. Awareness is the first step toward liberation. His simplicity disarmed us. The enormity of his teachings condensed into a practice that seemed attainable yet profound. I felt a flicker of hope, the first light in the darkness that had consumed my heart for so long. The forest seemed to breathe with us, its rhythm mirroring the ebb and flow of our collective understanding. The night deepened, the moon climbing higher as the world around us grew quieter. Yet within our circle, a sense of awakening stirred. Subtle but undeniable, I glanced at Buddha, his form glowing softly in the moonlight, a figure of infinite calm and boundless wisdom. "Master," I said one last time, my voice no longer hesitant but filled with gratitude. "Thank you for guiding us. Your words feel like a lantern in the dark." Buddha closed his eyes, his face serene, and replied, "The lantern is within you. I merely point the way. Walk the path, and you will find your own light." The forest embraced us as we sat in silence, the teachings sinking deep into the soil of our hearts. The journey had just begun, but already the path felt less lonely, the burden less heavy. Buddha's presence lingered, not as a shadow to follow but as a light to carry within. Another day, another journey through the winding paths of the world, led us to the banks of a quiet river. The water flowed endlessly, reflecting the sunlight, its currents carrying the secrets of life to unknown destinations. I sat near the edge, my thoughts restless, much like the ever-moving stream before me. Buddha was already seated, his form merging with the calmness of the surroundings, his presence grounding yet infinite. I approached him hesitantly, sensing an unspoken invitation to sit beside him, to join in his silent communion with the river. After moments of silence, I found the courage to speak. "Master," I began, my voice barely louder than the whispering water. "This river flows ceaselessly, yet it seems so calm. How does it find peace while moving forward? Never resting, never staying?" Buddha turned his gaze toward me, his eyes holding the depth of the very waters I spoke of. "The river teaches us the beauty of impermanence," he said, each word deliberate and measured, carrying the weight of timeless wisdom. "It does not resist its nature. It moves because movement is its being, its essence, its truth." I pondered his words, feeling their simplicity and complexity intertwine like the currents before me. Another disciple approached, her expression thoughtful as she joined our quiet exchange. "Master," she asked, "if the river embraces impermanence, what of us? How do we, as humans, find peace in constant change?" Buddha smiled gently, his face illuminated by the light dancing upon the water. "To find peace," he replied, "we must first accept that change is neither friend nor foe. It is merely the way of all things." His voice was calm, yet his words struck a chord within me, unraveling the tightly wound threads of my resistance to the ever-changing world. The disciple nodded, her face a mixture of understanding and contemplation. Another voice arose, from a disciple sitting farther away, his tone laden with unease. "Master, if everything is impermanent, what remains? What truth endures when all else fades?" Buddha cupped his hand, scooping water from the river and letting it flow through his fingers. "What remains is the act of flowing, not the water itself," he said. "The essence is in the movement, the journey, the truth that lies within every fleeting moment." His words rippled through me, their impact as profound as the river's endless journey. I gazed at the water, seeing it anew, not as a substance but as a process, a living metaphor for life itself. "Master," I said, my voice steady yet filled with wonder, "how do we live this truth? How do we embrace the flow of life without resistance?" "Begin with awareness," Buddha answered, the simplicity of his response holding an infinite depth. "Notice the currents of your thoughts, the ripples of your emotions. Observe them, but do not cling to them." His teachings felt like the first step on a long and winding path, A map unfolding before me. Another disciple, standing by a tree, spoke with a voice tinged with doubt. But Master, if we do not cling, do we not risk losing ourselves? Our identity? Our purpose? Buddha's gaze softened, his presence drawing us closer as his words illuminated our shared fears. To lose the false self is to discover the true self, he said, his tone unwavering. The river does not lose itself by flowing. It becomes itself through its journey. His words filled the air, resonating with a clarity that seemed to dissolve the fog of my uncertainties. The disciple nodded slowly, his doubt giving way to a quiet understanding. The river continued its song, a melody of movement and change, mirroring the lessons unfolding within us. I felt a shift within, a small but significant step toward embracing the flow of existence. The sun climbed higher, its rays warming the earth and casting shimmering patterns upon the water. Yet time seemed irrelevant in Buddha's presence, each moment a universe unto itself. Another disciple broke the silence, her voice filled with curiosity and hope. Master, she asked, if the river teaches us to flow, what of our actions? Should we let life carry us without effort? Buddha looked toward the horizon, his eyes tracing the line where the river met the sky. To flow is not to drift aimlessly, he said, his voice like the steady current. It is to move with purpose, yet without resistance. Act with intention, but release attachment to the outcome. In doing so, you align with the natural rhythm of the universe. Her question answered. The disciple smiled, her face lighting up with newfound clarity. I too felt the weight of his words, their implications stretching far beyond the simplicity of their form. The river seemed to flow in harmony with his teachings, its currents a testament to the truths he revealed. The day wore on, yet our circle remained by the river, each of us drawn to its wisdom as much as to Buddha's presence. Another disciple, seated cross-legged on the grass, spoke up, his tone curious and reflective. Master, he asked, what of those who resist the flow? What becomes of them? Buddha closed his eyes briefly, as if communing with the river itself before answering. Resistance creates suffering, he said, his voice imbued with compassion. To fight the current is to exhaust oneself, to lose sight of the joy in movement. Acceptance is the key to freedom. The disciple nodded, his expression thoughtful as he processed the depth of Buddha's response. The river flowed on, its unending journey a silent yet profound teacher, echoing the truths we sought to understand. I glanced at Buddha, his form as steady as the earth, his presence as fluid as the water. Master, I said, my voice firm yet filled with reverence, thank you for guiding us through these teachings. They feel like a compass for our lives. Buddha turned to me, his eyes holding a light that seemed to pierce through all darkness. The compass is within you, he said, his tone gentle but resolute. The river flows within you, as does its wisdom. Listen to its song, and you will never lose your way. His words settled into my heart, their truth planting seeds of transformation. The sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, its light mingling with the river's reflective surface. Our circle remained, united not by answers but by the shared journey toward understanding. The river, ever flowing, seemed to carry not just water but the essence of life itself. Buddha's presence, like the river, was both grounding and liberating, a paradox that felt entirely natural in his company. I felt a shift within, a quiet yet profound awakening to the beauty of impermanence, the peace of flowing with life. The day's teachings were not an end but a beginning, a step into the infinite journey of self-discovery and liberation. As the night approached, the river continued its song, a melody of endless movement and transformation. And though the world around us prepared for rest, within our hearts, a new energy stirred, a flame of wisdom kindled by the gentle teachings of Buddha. Another day, another journey brought us to a tranquil village nestled amidst rolling hills and fields of golden grain. The villagers welcomed us warmly, their smiles reflecting a simplicity and peace that seemed untouched by the world's chaos. I watched their harmony with fascination, wondering what lessons lay hidden within their humble lives. Buddha walked among them, his presence quiet yet profoundly felt, as if his steps left an invisible imprint on the air. He observed their gestures, their laughter, and their silent cooperation with the land, a portrait of life flowing naturally. I followed him, my thoughts stirring with questions I could no longer contain. "Master," I began, my voice filled with curiosity. "These villagers seem content, yet their lives are simple. What creates this peace within them?" Buddha paused, his gaze falling on a woman kneeling to sow seeds into the earth. Her movements rhythmic and purposeful. "Their peace comes from their understanding of balance," he said, his voice calm, each word carrying profound meaning. "They take only what they need and give back to the earth that sustains them. Harmony is their practice." I pondered his answer, the simplicity of his words unveiling a complexity I sought to grasp. Another disciple approached, her expression thoughtful as she joined our quiet exchange. "Master," she asked, "if their peace comes from balance, does this mean we should live only simple lives to find harmony?" Buddha turned his gaze to the horizon, his eyes tracing the line where the fields met the distant hills. "Simplicity is not the absence of complexity," he replied, his tone gentle yet firm. "It is the presence of clarity amidst the chaos of life. To live simply is to live with intention, to honor the essence over the excess." His words resonated, the village's quiet rhythm suddenly seeming like an orchestra of clarity amidst the noise of the world. Another disciple approached, his expression a mix of wonder and uncertainty. "Master, does this mean wealth and ambition hinder peace? Are they paths away from balance?" Buddha turned to us, his eyes soft yet penetrating, his voice unwavering. "Wealth is neither good nor evil. It is the attachment to it that creates suffering. Ambition, too, is not the enemy but must be guided by compassion and wisdom." The disciple nodded slowly, his thoughts reflecting his internal struggle to reconcile ambition with harmony. I too felt the challenge of aligning his teachings with the desires that often drove my actions. Another villager approached, holding a basket of fruits, her face lighting up as she offered them to Buddha. He accepted the gift, his gratitude expressed through a bow that mirrored the villager's humility. As he placed the basket on the ground, he turned to us once more. "Gratitude is the seed from which peace grows," he said. "When we honor what we are given, we diminish our yearning for more." The villagers nodded in agreement, their smiles reflecting an understanding deeper than words could convey. The disciples murmured among themselves, each pondering how gratitude might transform their restless hearts. Another disciple stepped forward, his voice tinged with doubt. "Master," he asked, "if gratitude brings peace, what of those who lack? How do we teach gratitude to those who suffer?" Buddha's gaze softened, his voice carrying the weight of compassion. "Gratitude does not dismiss suffering. It embraces the small gifts within even the darkest moments. Teach it through example, through presence, and through love." His words felt like a balm, soothing the doubts that clouded our understanding of the villagers' serene lives. As the sun dipped lower, painting the village in hues of gold, another disciple spoke, her voice trembling with emotion. "Master, you speak of peace within, but how do we keep peace when faced with conflict from others?" Buddha walked to the edge of the field, his form silhouetted against the glowing sky, his presence deeply grounding. Peace within cannot be disturbed by conflict if it is rooted in compassion and wisdom. Respond, but do not react. Act, but do not cling to outcomes. His teachings stirred within me, their truths feeling both distant and intimately close. The village, in its simplicity, seemed to mirror the essence of his wisdom, a living testament to balance and gratitude. As the sun continued its descent, the villagers gathered near us, their faces curious yet reverent. "Master," I said, my voice steady but filled with awe, "your words feel like a map to peace. Thank you for guiding us." Buddha turned to me, his eyes holding the light of the setting sun, his presence both grounding and liberating. "The map is not my words but your journey," he replied, his tone gentle but firm. "Each step you take, each choice you make, carves your path toward harmony. The Buddha within guides you, not me." His response echoed within me, its truth planting seeds of self-reliance and trust in my own potential. The villagers began to sing softly, their voices blending with the wind, their harmony reflecting the balance Buddha spoke of. The moment felt sacred, as if the world had paused to listen. Another disciple spoke, her voice filled with wonder. "Master, does this village not show us the way? Can we not all live like this?" Buddha turned to her, his gaze steady, his words deliberate. "The way is not in imitation but in alignment with your own truth. You must honor your journey, not mimic another's." The disciple nodded, her understanding evident in the quiet smile that touched her face. I too felt the challenge of aligning my actions with the wisdom Buddha shared. The village, in its harmony, seemed less a model to follow and more an inspiration to ignite our own paths. As night descended, the disciples gathered around Buddha for one last exchange of words before the day's end. I sat among them, my heart filled with gratitude for the teachings shared in this humble village. The stars began to appear, their light mingling with the glow of the distant hills. Buddha spoke softly, his words carrying the weight of love and wisdom. "You have walked with me through many landscapes, seeking truth and understanding. But remember, the Buddha is not far. He is near, always within. Compassion, wisdom, and gratitude are your guides. Walk your path with intention, and you will find your way." His words settled into the silence, resonating deeply with each of us, their truth undeniable. The disciples bowed low, their gestures filled with respect and reverence, their hearts touched by the light of his teachings. I too bowed, feeling the weight of transformation within me. The villagers sang gently, their voices a melody of peace and balance, their presence a living testament to harmony. The night grew darker, yet within me, a flame of wisdom burned brightly, kindled by the gentle teachings of Buddha. The journey was not ending but beginning anew, each step carrying the light of his presence. And as we rested in the humble village, the stars above seemed to whisper the truths we had learned. Buddha's presence lingered, not as a shadow to follow, but as a light to carry within. He was near, always. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.